So there was this client who was getting the reputation of being so difficult. And he told me, hey, I really appreciate that, but I can't review it because I'm visually impaired.
Hey, I'm Jeremy with Northwest, and today we're sitting down with our client experience manager, James. James, in customer service, it's easy to label a client as difficult when they're pushing back on standard operating procedure or how things go around here. What are the risks of not breaking that protocol?
That's a great question because that does come up pretty frequently. And the biggest thing is if you are so quick to assert your norms with someone, you might miss out on even understanding why they're asking for an exception to be made. Sometimes it could be something pretty frivolous and we may ask them to adapt to our normal process, but there's other times it could be a really good reason and a small change or adjustment could make a huge difference for them. So if we don't do that, we risk missing out on making some of the best customer experiences we can.
So have you ever had to go against our standard operating principles to really meet a customer where they are?
So there was this client who was getting the reputation of being so difficult because he would not take no for an answer that we could just write everything up for his business for him. And the reason why is because we really need to make sure everything's accurate to their expectations and intent. And so we make a big emphasis on the client being the one to fill out the forms. However, what came out, because I ended up having to talk to him because he really wouldn't take no for an answer, there's a little more to the story. So I shared with him the reason why we don't do this is because we need to ensure accuracy. And he told me, hey, I really appreciate that, but I can't review it because I'm visually impaired. And so the only way I can do this is if my reading tool will work with it. And that was a huge aha moment for me because up to that point, I thought he just really didn't want to work with our site and I didn't really want to enable that because everything's done through the site. But when that became clear, I realized I can just send you an email and you can just confirm everything and we can get this business filed for you, no problem. So it started out with everyone thinking this guy is so difficult to work with. Turns out he just needed a small adjustment so he could ensure he was getting the business he wanted formed.
All right, that was a lot of information. Time for a quick break. Before I was a business guide, I was a meteorologist. And did you know raindrops aren't tear-shaped? They're actually shaped like little discs. Reason being, as they fall through the sky, there's air pushing back up on them, kind of squeezing them out. If they're too big, they split into two and then form multiple little discs. A little bit of a fun fact for you. Back to the interview. So what advice would you give someone dealing with a difficult client who wants to break that company protocol? How would you tell them to handle that to maintain a good relationship?
That's a great question. The first thing is if you're going to make an exception to a norm, you need to understand why it's there in the first place because you need to be able to justify that decision. So starting with understanding why and then just making sure you're taking the time to understand your client and not just make them conform to a one-size-fits-all. So our whole thing in customer service is really to make it personal and unique. If generic worked for them, they would have just used the site or they just would have chosen self-service. The reason we're talking with them is because they're hoping for something personal. And it's our job to deliver on that.
James, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. If you found this information helpful, hit subscribe. And if you have any additional questions for our customer service team as you grow your business, drop them down in the comments below and we'll make a video about it.